There's a certain type of person who moves through life with a quiet steadiness. Their mornings don't feel rushed. Their emotions don't swing wildly with every small problem. When something goes wrong, it doesn't spiral into a full crisis. Nothing about their life looks impressive on the surface. No dramatic routines, no intense transformation stories. Just a calm sense that things are handled. They wake up around the same time most days. They move through familiar patterns. Their weeks don't constantly reset after falling apart. And yet, when you look closer, there's no single habit you could point to and call life-changing. What's interesting is that this calm doesn't come from talent, luck, or motivation. It comes from a collection of actions so ordinary they're easy to overlook. Habits that feel too boring to mention, yet quietly shape how stable and grounded a life becomes.
Most people assume that change has to feel exciting to be real. A new routine should feel motivating. A new habit should feel powerful. If it doesn't spark energy or inspiration, it's often dismissed as pointless. But the brain doesn't actually work that way. It's wired to notice novelty, not repetition, which is why dramatic changes feel rewarding at first and exhausting later. What the mind truly responds to is predictability. Repeated actions signal safety, control, and stability to the nervous system. When life becomes predictable in small ways, the brain relaxes its constant scanning for threats and uncertainty. This is where boring habits quietly matter. They don't impress the brain with intensity, they reassure it with consistency. Over time, that reassurance becomes the foundation for focus, emotional balance, and long-term change. Real transformation isn't driven by motivation. It's built through systems that work even when motivation disappears.
Number 1. Predictable mornings as mental anchors.
Predictable mornings often look unimpressive from the outside. The same wake-up time, the same first few actions, the same quiet rhythm repeated day after day. There's no sense of urgency, no rush to optimize every minute, and that's exactly why they work. When the morning is familiar, the brain doesn't have to negotiate with itself right away. There's less decision-making, less internal friction, and less mental noise. Predictability reduces cognitive load, allowing the mind to settle instead of react. Instead of asking, "What should I do first?" the body already knows. This consistency creates emotional regulation before the day even begins. A stable start sends a subtle message: things are under control. Over time, this builds identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who starts the day intentionally, not impulsively. The habit isn't about productivity or discipline, it's psychological grounding, a quiet anchor that keeps the rest of the day from drifting.
Number 2. Repeating small physical care behaviors.
Some of the most powerful habits are the ones that care for the body in simple, repetitive ways. Drinking water, eating basic nourishing food, moving gently instead of staying still all day. None of these actions feel impressive. They don't feel like self-improvement. They feel ordinary. But the body doesn't measure importance the way the mind does. The nervous system responds to consistency more than intensity. When physical needs are met in predictable ways, the body sends signals of safety back to the brain. Energy stabilizes, tension lowers, thoughts become clearer, not because life is easier, but because the system feels supported. There's a quiet cause and effect at work here. When the body feels cared for, the mind becomes less reactive. Over time, these small acts build trust with yourself. You learn that you will show up, even in simple ways. That trust creates calm, and calm creates the mental space needed for clarity and better decisions.
Number 3. Limiting daily decisions through routine.
A large part of daily stress doesn't come from big problems. It comes from constant small decisions. What to wear, what to eat, what to do first. Each choice feels minor, but together they quietly drain mental energy. By the time the day is fully underway, the mind is already tired from deciding.
Routine removes this pressure. When certain choices are repeated, they stop demanding attention. The brain no longer treats them as decisions, but as background processes. This preserves emotional and cognitive energy for things that actually matter. What's often misunderstood is that repetition doesn't create boredom, it creates calm. When fewer decisions are required, the mind stays clearer and more stable. There's less internal debate, less second-guessing. Stability replaces stimulation, and with it comes a sense of ease. The day feels lighter, not because there's less to do, but because there's less to manage mentally.
Number 4. Time consistency and psychological rhythm.
The brain is deeply sensitive to timing. Sleep, work, rest, and recovery all follow internal rhythms that prefer regularity over randomness. When these rhythms are disrupted, even slightly, the mind compensates with fatigue, irritability, and fog. It's not a lack of discipline, it's confusion. Consistent timing acts as a psychological cue. Going to bed, waking up, or resting around the same hours each day helps the brain anticipate what comes next. That anticipation reduces stress and improves focus. Mood stabilizes because the system knows what to expect. This is where systems outperform motivation. Motivation fades. Rhythm remains. When time consistency is in place, behavior no longer relies on willpower, it flows automatically. Instead of forcing the brain into productivity, you cooperate with it. Consistency becomes a partnership rather than a struggle, allowing energy and attention to settle naturally throughout the day.
Number 5. Environment as a silent habit.
Most habits don't begin in the mind. They begin in the space around it. The room you wake up in, the desk you sit at, the objects you see repeatedly. All of these quietly guide behavior without asking for effort or motivation. Environmental psychology shows that the brain constantly reacts to cues. A cluttered space creates low-level mental noise. A stable, familiar environment signals safety. Over time, the mind begins to mirror what it sees. Order outside reduces friction inside. This doesn't require dramatic change or perfect organization. Small, maintained adjustments matter more than occasional overhauls. Returning objects to the same place, keeping a few visual anchors consistent. These repetitions build emotional safety through familiarity. The environment becomes a silent habit, one that reinforces identity. It supports the idea of being someone who lives with intention, not through force, but through quiet alignment between surroundings and self.
When you step back and look at these habits together, a single pattern becomes clear. None of them rely on excitement. None of them demand intensity. They all share one quiet quality: repeatability. Real change doesn't happen when life feels dramatic. It happens when actions are simple enough to survive ordinary days.
If one idea from this video stayed with you, choose just one habit. Keep it simple. Let it be boring enough to repeat, even on days when motivation is low. If this perspective helped you see your habits differently, take a moment to like the video. It tells the algorithm and quietly tells yourself that this kind of thinking matters to you. And if you want more calm, psychologically grounded ideas like this, consider subscribing. New videos here are designed to be steady, thoughtful, and useful long after the first watch.